Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the third episode and potentially final of Under the Shell.
Yeah. Yo, I'm going to use that.
Today's guests.
Because DimitarK can't be on time.
Yeah. So sorry about that. No, for real, I'm going to use this for the entrance. So we're just rolling from here. So today we're reviewing the last few releases from the bands we all love and cherish. We've got Tyler and Matias. You pretty yellow.
What up, dogs?
Yeah.
Dogs. What's going on, man?
Yo.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll start. All right, so the big two releases, I feel like the ones we need to talk about, we need to start with, is definitely Parasite Eve and Hypa. Because right now, if you're in the metal community, that's what's on the radar. Let's talk about it. What's interesting, too, about these two is, and we'll go around and get some opinions, but what interests me the most is just how far as like the spectrum goes on these tracks are, right? Like the contrast here is insane. One is like very kind of almost doom and gloom set and has like a very specific message talking about the change of times, talking about the societal, I guess, climate with COVID and everything, and then the other one is just like the exact opposite. It's almost like a comic relief and like a break, and both of these tracks have done extremely well. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Yo, well, I personally loved both. Like you already know, and I said it in the last episode, how much I fell in love with Parasite Eve, and I literally didn't sleep until I filmed it and I learned it. But I was like struck in two different kinds of emotions with these releases. Like I loved them both and I was excited for them both, but like for Parasite Eve it was like, you know, yo, Bring Me the Horizon are finally getting into something, you know, more serious and more hard sounding since Ludens, and Hyper was just like, bro, this is the best video I've ever watched in my entire life. I need to buy a mullet wig, you know. And yeah, while Parasite Eve for me is just very well done and musically and everything, I think Hyper is the genius behind the song is just having the catchy melody and the video, because without the video this song would never be so popular.
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
I agree with that too.
Like, Parasite Eve, for me, I think it was, I went in kind of comparing it to Ludens because that's what I had heard, and it wasn't really, I enjoyed Ludens a little bit more, but Parasite Eve was dope too. That I think I enjoyed the build-up the most. It was, this is a lot. That shit was crazy.
Yeah.
And then the chorus was good in that song, but I think that, like Wyatt said, it's kind of speaking a message, and so that was dope. But you're right about Hypa too. Is like if the video wasn't there, man, I don't think you would enjoy the song as much as
totally.
you do, because you'll make a connection to the part in the song where the drummer's just sitting there and he's air humping, or he's just banging his cymbal,
or
like
the double head turn.
Yeah, dude, or like the power walking is Matias' favorite part. They're just power walking and they're going separate ways. It is just so perfect. Like, and two totally different sides of the spectrum, like having a good time. Like in the comments for my reaction, it was, man, this thing saved 2020. 2020's been so shit, and these guys are just making it better. So I thought both releases were sick. For sure.
Whoever got up one morning and was like, yo, we need to make this video is a fucking genius.
Yeah, for sure.
And to add to that, I think with the Hypa video, at least, the effort put into the video itself. Of course, the song is what it is, and I love the song for what it is. But the effort in the video, the choreography at the end, the dancing, that's not something you learn just from
there's
one
so
day
much
to another.
attention to detail.
Exactly.
Yo, can we take a second and talk about that choreography? Because Lindsay and I did that fashion video.
Yeah.
And the fashion video, something that my entire comment section pointed out was that that's not the band members. Those are like other YouTubers.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize this.
Really?
Did you guys know that?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in my comments, a lot of guys were like, "Yeah, they're not even part of the band. They're just a bunch of famous German YouTubers from like all over."
Oh man!
And they just got together to do it. And Matias said like the attention to detail you can see in that making of video was sick, right? Like
yeah, I watched it like yesterday.
It's just so much work.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I saw somewhere that apparently those guys were members of like a League of Legends team or something. Like it was like
really?
a pro gaming team or something. I think so. I could be getting that wrong. Two of the guys that were in the final scene were commenting on the designer reacts video we posted. They could have been commenting on my reaction, but I didn't check those comments yet. Yeah, my top comment has like 600 likes, and it's like the center guy. It's like the main guy who's doing the with the big blonde wig.
Yeah, that's their new vocalist. I think.
No. At the end when it's like not the band anymore.
Oh,
the choreography, the dancing.
Yeah.
His name's Kale, I guess. Kalle. Kale, whatever.
He said, "But I love my pants."
Yeah, that's the top comment on my video.
Because Lindsay commented on his pants.
Really?
Yeah.
Lindsay was like, "I love his whole outfit except for the pants. The pants are not doing it for me."
So he commented, "I love my pants."
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Well, yeah. She commented like a bunch of options that would have been way more appropriate for an 80s themed video, and he's like, "But I love my pants."
And it's also nice, because right after I watched Hyper, I filmed my my poor interpretation. I just watched, they actually uploaded their reaction to all the reactions, and I really love it when bands like take their time to do this, because this even if the video is not good, even if your reaction is not good, this instantly brings you closer to the people that are listening to you. And in your case, that dude commented on your video, which automatically brings you too closer and brings you closer to this creator and to the band. And I just think this is so nice.
That's what's great about the community, music, metal, or just music in general. You could be somebody who loves, I don't know, death metal, deathcore, but you come across something like this and you can't help but appreciate and love the effort put into it, right?
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh crap, I actually like this, and you find yourself singing it every single day.
I was the same way.
Or trying to do the dances.
It's like you told me, yo, if you don't like the song, you're gonna laugh your ass off at the video, and it was both. It was perfect, man. It was great.
I think what do you guys think, though? This may be cynical of me, but what do you guys think? Do you think you would have cared as much about the song if it hadn't have been for the video attached to it?
No, I don't think so.
I would agree.
Probably not.
I would agree.
Wait, what was the question?
Do you think you would have cared as much about the song?
Oh, if I would have cared about the song?
Yeah.
No, hell no.
Yeah.
I mean,
without the video.
The video. I mean, the song is great, but if it's not for the video, I don't think that this song would be so well known.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely not.
It's integral part of the whole entertainment experience for this one.
Yeah, and the fact that we can all sit here and say that speaks to a really interesting truth in the music industry that I think a lot of artists neglect, and that's the fact that what you see changes what you hear. There's a
Absolutely.
There's a really fantastic. Well, there's a few of them. There's a few really fantastic videos on YouTube demonstrating this. And what one of them are, and I'll just describe it for the listeners at home. What one of the videos does is it takes a man who's saying a word. I think he's saying black or something like that. But then the sound that is overlaid on top of it, the image of him saying the word black changes to like hat and cat and other things. And despite the fact that he's still saying verbally the word black, you hear cat or whatever. It changes the way you're hearing what he's saying because of the imagery of his mouth moving. That's how finely attuned our ability to hear is, and how connected it is to what we're visually seeing. And this is something in the music industry that is so important in every regard to take account for, and I think some bands miss. You know, some bands will put out a release. Just put the album artwork on it, no big deal. But that's not good enough, you know, because the album artwork's fine, but you're not capitalizing on all the other sensory inputs that you could take advantage of to communicate a message to that listener if you just ignore the visual component, you know. And it doesn't always have to be a music video, but just doing something. And this also is very important to consider when building a live show. You know, it's you have to be able to bring that show to life in a way that it changes the listener's opinion of the music. And I think that bands that could do that, and there's been a lot of examples even in my own listening that have done things like that, those are the ones that really make it far. And I think you guys can all relate to this when I say a lot of you guys have probably had opinions on a band, maybe not the greatest, like not in a bad way, but maybe just a band never jumped out at you. And then you went and saw them open for so-and-so. And just because of how powerful their live show was, you came back and you're like, whoa, I definitely need to listen to them more.
Yeah, totally. And this is why, me and you and Tyler and, all the guys we know that are doing some kind of content and are musicians, we emphasize on the look and on, on the whole entertainment experience, not just the music, not just the playing, but having the proper light, the proper color correction, the proper feel, just to accompany what you're hearing, because you're right, but it's not just the bands, it's a lot of YouTube creators, even some guys who are reviewing gear or whatever. I mean, some of them really neglect the visual part, and it's not ruining the experience, but it's just not complete. And there is a saying, and I'm all for it. It's like it's not so important to be good at what you're doing. It's more important to look good while you're doing it.
Yeah. This is true, actually. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the whole premise that the band Kiss was built on.
yeah. And, looking back to all, the classic bands, like you said, like Kiss or like Led Zeppelin or
Van Halen.
Yeah. I mean, they're not the great... Probably we're going to be really hated by some guys, but they're not the greatest and most, advanced players and musicians out there. But they just look fucking good doing it.
You got to realize that, like, back in that time, the image of the rock star just fit all those guys perfectly. And I think that people ran with it regardless of what the quality of their music. Because, personally, none of those bands are tickling to me more than, like, Iron Maiden or a band like that. But it was just that rock star image, dog.
Yeah, and the same way, we're not the three most developed drummers here, far from it. Yeah. But we just look good doing it, and that's why people are watching us.
Well, I would say, Wyatt, you look better than me behind the camera. It goes without saying.
It's the tats, bro. You gotta get some tats.
No joke. And some guns.
Oh, joke.
So moving on from those two songs that we kind of opened the podcast with, let's talk about some of the other releases. So going back a little bit now, we've had a pretty amazing drop from Currents.
You're talking about the Monsters?
Matias, go ahead, bro.
The album,
and I'll follow up.
The album in general, Dimitar.
Oh.
Have you not had time to listen to it?
No, I just listened to Monsters.
Man.
Oh no, dog!
Dog! That's a miss. That's a miss. You have
to. I think as far as I think that's probably my. Well, I don't know if I can say this because I'm trying to think what else came out 2020, but I think that record is probably my favorite release. I think it's the strongest release.
Oh no! Now I gotta listen to it after this podcast.
I don't think anything else comes close. It was kind of like the 2019. You had Motionless. Disguise and nothing else came close. That's how I feel about Currents right now this year. I mean, it's fucking hands down.
I agree.
We had other big releases. We had the big comeback from The Ghost Inside. Of course.
Yeah.
Man,
You can't ignore that.
and I've talked to Wyatt about that record too, man, and they hold like a special place in my heart because I've been listening to those guys since '07, and that record just it was miraculous. Like, period, is being able to come back from something like that. But I think I had expectations too high for it, and it didn't meet it. It's probably more my end than the band, but I wish it would have resonated a little bit harder with me personally.
I'm gonna back Tyler on this. I think that this record is like it's more the message, like huge respect to those guys, especially the drummer, you know.
Oh, yeah.
We all know what he went through, and you know, that's like a huge achievement to do, to get back on drums with one leg missing. But I think the record is more like sending the message, like, yo, we're back, we survived, we made it. But I think I really too had some of my hopes too high, and compared to records by other bands, it's nice, absolutely, but in my humble opinion, it's not so original. It sounds like more like August Burns Red 2010.
Really?
So go ahead.
No, that's curious. It just seems like it was, and that's always been the thing with the Ghost Inside, the way Jonathan writes his lyrics, is it's always been about the message. I just think it sounded a little too familiar to the normal Ghost Inside that I'm used to, instead of a little bit of a branch out maybe. But, I mean, if I were to hear a song with none of his lyrics on it, I would know the Ghost Inside instantly. It's just that guitar tone and...
Yeah, I was talking more about the instrumental more than the lyrics.
I got you.
Well,
I
think they just wanted to be safe, right?
Yeah,
Huh?
I maybe so.
Go ahead, Wyatt.
I think what we're seeing happening with this record is, I mean, like, these are two interesting examples to compare, because in one case we have this band that was, you know, pretty big deal before the accident, and they still are a very big deal, and I think the accident even helped them with that, honestly, to get the word out, as like shitty as that is, you know, publicity is publicity, and it did make a lot of noise
true, though.
when this tragedy occurred. But as far as like comparing even them to the band that we were just talking about with this Currents release, like there's a very stark contrast with these two releases in the sense of like where the band's coming from, right? Like when you listen to a record like is the record called Monsters? What's the I don't know the actual name of it.
Let me check.
The Way It Ends.
The Way It Ends. The Way It Ends.
Okay, so listening to The Way It Ends, you have like a very clear powerful evolution out of this band, right? Like if you listen to their past music, I don't think anything comes close to the just how well written and how well constructed the songs are on this latest record. And like, you know, this is like the product of the last like 15, 20 years of these musicians' lives, both like on the road and in the band and in the studio, but then also everything that they've done to get to this point as individuals and musicians themselves. So it's really interesting to see that, because we have two one that's now a lot more established, and then the other that's been established for a while, but two larger bands in the scene dropping records, and you can tell that one band is coming back from something, and you know, they have a lot of struggles and things that they need to work through, but just the fact that they did make it back is in itself like worthy of a release, period, you know? And then in the other instance, we have a band that is going through that transition phase where bands do, where they really start to figure out who they are and start to find like their place in a greater and larger version of the industry, and they're starting to branch out in ways on the business side of things behind the scenes that are opening up new opportunities clearly. And also with that, like their skill and their learning and their experiences on the road is compounding to create what will be like a very, very interesting sound going forward. So it's interesting putting those two releases beside each other. And I think in both cases, there's a lot more of those artists that we're going to see to come. And I'm really thrilled on both, especially Currents though, because they blew my mind with this latest release. It was so well put together for like a newer sounding, like just a new, fresh take on metalcore with a lot of aspects of what we've come to listen to from the genre, like a lot of things that are sort of integral to the genre and integral to that band, but then also a lot of new, you know. and I thought it was just a really like a breath of fresh air in a genre that right now is kind of oversaturated and a lot of the same, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Matias, I gotta hear you. I mean, you put me on the band. I hadn't heard them before this release, so I gotta hear from you, dog. Don't sit back there, man. Go on.
Well, to touch on what Wyatt was saying, it's the evolution. The evolution is everything, because they do have a lot of what we've come to know and love from the genres or sub-genres, whatever you want to label them. But it's like what Wyatt, to touch on again, what Wyatt was saying. It's a band that, you know, you see them come a long way, and you notice how they've found their sound. They finally, you know, realized, oh, this is who we are. This is where we thrive. Here is our album, right? So for me, this record, what I get the most from them is emotion. Their experiences that they've been through just in life, just in general, right? Because some of these songs, if not most of these songs, are about things that anybody goes through at some point in their lives, right? About loss, about depression, addiction, you know, any of the sort of things that any regular human would go through, right? And their way of depicting them and the way of putting it out there as a song. You know, there's songs like How I Fall Apart, and you look at the lyrics, and man, even if as somebody who, let's say someone who's had like everything and hasn't had a lot of hardships, you could probably relate to that on a personal level at some point in your life, right? And then you got heavier songs like Poverty of Self, right? And Split and Origin. That one you heard. That was one of their earlier singles.
I heard Poverty of Self and Monsters only.
And Monsters, yeah.
See,
Monsters.
like those Monsters is getting up there for me, but How I Fall Apart, to go back and Matias, like when I heard that song, I knew instantly, one, like I resonated with it, and two, I was going to be covering it. Like it was just a big ass open chorus that had crazy double bass pattern in the middle. I just instantly knew that. And then Monsters, like,
Ghost Notes.
It's just you get in to that record and it's so easy to get lost because every song and the way they structured it, like you'll be finished in the record and you're like, dude, where did the time go? Because it's so damn good, man. Like every song is different. Every song has a different lyric. It's just easily, like, hands down the best record that I've heard in a while, man.
I think what got me into Currents is what a lot of bands. I find a lot of bands that I listen to just by listening to Spotify, and when what I'm listening ends, you know, it starts to shuffle some similar bands, and every now and then you get like whatever you're doing, like working out, and you'll start listening to something new. And you know that moment when you have to stop, like stop in your tracks, and you'll be like wait, what's that? and you just look at your phone, look what you're listening to. So this is how I found them, and what got me into them is, let me just see if I'll get the name properly. Yeah, it was the EP I Let the Devil In.
I Let the Devil In,
yeah, and
that's a good one.
Like every single song in that EP is just amazing, and you know, it's, for me, it's the best. It is the best combination of very good sound, very well mixed. It's heavy because I really adore the heaviness in the songs, and yet it's not over the top. You know, it's not something that when you change the songs, you can't even tell when one ends and another begins. And actually, my favorite song out of that EP is The Rope. Bro, this chorus.
The breakdown in the rope.
Yeah. And the breakdown of Into Despair. Like when he shouts, I let the devil in, and and then it's the pig squeal. I don't know how it's called, but
If you really enjoy that record, like, take that, just a little bit of evolution, and then obviously a 2020 production and a mix is what you get with the new record. So you got, once you're off of this, dude, you have to go. You have to.
Yeah, totally. Again, in the metalcore, I just wanted to ask for your opinions, because I've actually never spoken to anyone about this band. because I really liked their previous record, but I'm on the fence of the new one. The band is called Bleed From Within. Do you know them?
Yeah, I do.
I've never heard them.
Well, they're very interesting. I mean, the drum work is solid, like in every metalcore band, but what I really liked about them is the guitar work. They have some really, well, not entirely different, but different enough take on their riffs, and for me personally, that's great. And their previous album, the one that got me into them, is called Era, ERA. And the new one, I think it's 2020, and it's called
Fracture.
Fracture, yeah, right.
Fracture, yeah.
And if you've listened to it, I just wanted to listen to your opinion because I'm really with a lot of mixed feelings about it, and I just quickly wanted to ask you guys.
I've listened to it maybe a couple of times, a few times maybe. With them, my thing with them is they're great. I don't get anything that I haven't gotten somewhere else, you know?
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of unique going on with them. My opinion of them is I've been listening to them. It's funny that you mentioned that because I've been listening to this band since 2009, since their the Humanity album. I actually listened to that album, and I remember just dropping. I don't know. I dropped them for like a long time, for a few years, and I didn't even realize they came out with something. I believe they're from Europe, so they're on a label that I'm not.
Yeah, they sound European.
Yeah. So I don't know if their stuff wasn't coming up for me, or I forgot about them. That's probably the case. But back in 2009, they had that that typical metalcore sound, right? Borderline deathcore with the vocalist had like those really high highs and those really low growls.
Yeah,
right?
with some nuances of maybe even black metal here and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And they had a lot of like they would just hit you in the face like really fast, you know, as hard as possible. And they had some songs that left a mark that I still remember to this day, like "Save Your Prayers," "Damnation," "Servants of Divinity." They have a video for. That was one of their singles back then. And again, it's like they dropped out of the face of the earth for me. Just personally, I completely forgot about them. Remember them maybe like a year or so ago. Listened to Era again. Not much I took away from that album. I think I just had a lot of releases, just like to this day. We have a lot of releases, and things can get lost, right?
Yeah, it's probably out of the Era album, maybe Alive, if that's the correct song.
Alive is one of the ones.
Is probably their. I don't know if it's their single, but for me personally, it's their flagman, flagship or whatever it's called.
Yeah. And this new one, Fracture, I mean, I believe in either late 2018 or 2019 is when they started coming out with singles for this one. And of course, I think the staple, the one that people, if they knew a song from this one, they would know is "The End of All We Know."
Yeah.
I'm sure all of you guys have checked it out. I know Wyatt has listened to it a few times. Ton of people posted in his, in his server. Is this the end of all we know? And then that chorus, right? They came out with that, and then they came out with Into Nothing, and I think they had another one. I don't even remember. Those were okay. Of course, like I said, "The End of All We Know" having that staple chorus that gets stuck in your head, and my opinion of this album is they remind me of Parkway Drive. And I say that because Parkway Drive back in the day had that typical metalcore sound, that borderline somewhat like deathcore kind of back in the day I'm talking about. And then they started to mold their sound. They started to get, as much as people are going to hate me for saying this, a little more mainstream kind of, right? Tuning it down. They fine-tuned their sound. They got into this rhythm. They realized, okay, we're going to do this. And maybe the vocalist kind of stopped doing some of the highs and some of the lows, and he stuck to maybe like a middle ground. He does some of the other screams too, and then, they're not too over melodic now. And that's what Fracture is to me, and that's what my opinion of them is now, which is not an insult in my opinion. That
it's not.
Parkway Drive is up there. They're one of the staples for the genre now, I think, right? If you think about them, if anyone thinks about Parkway Drive, you think about them playing these giant festivals to like 200,000 people, right?
Yeah. Well,
And
Parkway,
that's my opinion.
I think that Parkway is, performance-wise and live shows-wise, I think Parkway are the new Rammstein. Like, have you seen some of, like 2019, 2018? Have you seen their lives?
Parkway Drives,
yeah.
Whackin', Open Air, and I've seen
It's
the other two.
huge production with fireworks and
Resurrection Fest.
Yeah.
Hour 20 show, Whackin' Open Air. Oh my God, the pyrotechnics. They have the intro where they have them coming up. They coming through the crowd. Winston has a giant like winter coat. They have these guys next to them with these black coats and with fire torches and their torches in their hands.
And the drummer in the cage, which is rotating.
The drummer
all the time.
in the cage rotating. I know Wyatt is gonna want to touch on these guys because Parkway is one of his favorite bands, I believe, and they have some songs that he loves. Yeah, so.
Yeah, Parkway for me is like their guitar work. I absolutely love that band. I didn't get anything. I didn't get into them at all past Ire though. Even Ire was like, yeah, it's good. It's started to change though. And then after that, I didn't.
What
really
year
get
was
into
that
anything.
record?
Ire was
2014,
16.
See, like after 2011, I couldn't tell you what
2015.
Parkway put out. Yeah, that
September 25th, 2015. Did they put out? There's only one record after Ire, I believe, and it's
it's the
Reverence.
Yeah, Reverence.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
they've
last
just
thing they
been
put out
around
Reverence
was
I didn't
so
like.
long.
I didn't like Reverence. I wasn't stoked on Reverence. I liked.
That one.
A lot of Ire was recorded in Canada. All of it was recorded in Canada.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, I'm not defending Reverence because maybe I like 2 or 3 songs out of it, and it's mostly because of the lyrics, not so much of the musicianship. Well, it's a profession like every other profession, and I personally don't think that there's anything wrong with going mainstream. I mean, I get it. I don't like it too, but
It's the term that people don't like. Mainstream.
Well, yeah, but this is a profession like anything else. I mean, if you're selling cars and you have the opportunity to sell cars to 5 times as much people, won't you do it? Like,
what's interesting though? I want to talk about this. The interesting thing is that I feel like I'm just making numbers up. Nobody hold me to this, but I feel like it's like half the time when bands decide that they're going to go for a lighter sound, their fan base just disappears. Usually,
Drops.
like the investment to go for a sound based on monetary gain is never a good decision because it's not necessarily always true to what you're doing and what you believe in and where you came from. And because of that, we get exactly what we saw with Reverence. Like, I don't want to speak. Well, I mean, you can see it on YouTube, and that's my domain. So, like, their numbers on YouTube going from Ire to Reverence was a huge drop. Even going from, what was the one before Ire? I think it was Deep Blue, right? Let me check.
Before Ire? Atlas.
No, it wasn't. It was Atlas. Thank you.
Atlas.
Even going from Atlas to Ire, there was a bit of a drop off in traffic and views and things. But Ire is what pushed them into a different audience. That's Ire. I felt like Ire was the one that got them in front of like stadiums and huge festivals. And then with Reverence, like you look at the views, like you can see it right away. Like Atlas, Deep Blue, and Ire all had insane numbers, 20 million, 30 million views on some of their YouTube videos. And then this latest record, like they struggle for 3 or 4. You just don't see the same traction on the platform because I don't know. I don't think that their original audience was into Reverence like they were the other records. And I think it was just like, they were trying. It's tough too because like, how do you go mainstream with a vocalist that only screams?
Exactly.
And that's what they tried to do with Reverence, and it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like the melody in that band used to be the guitars, and I wish it was still that way, and it was driving and moving, and like it just doesn't feel like Parkway anymore with what they've been putting out. Do they have a new single out or anything? When was their last release?
I don't think so. I think they just released a German version of one of their Reverence songs.
They released 3 German versions of their songs. Shadowboxing. I don't know the other ones. I don't speak German. I'm sorry. Dutch. They're in Dutch, so I don't know. They're in German. But I remember seeing them release those 3, and they put those 3 songs on their live Viva the Underdogs that came out this year.
Yeah.
Which is
and
if you haven't seen that movie,
Wacken.
go check that out. Yeah.
Well, I think that Wyatt is correct about this, but I can always, say Bring Me the Horizon. And we all know that where they started and where they are now, and all the hate they got in, during those years. And still,
but they never went down.
They never went down.
They did it well. They did it well, and
they
you can't argue it.
So if you're going to do such a drastic change, do it well.
2 words. Okay, let me tell you. 2 words. Jordan Fisher.
Yeah.
Is it Fisher or Fish?
I don't know.
I think it's Fisher.
Yeah, no. I said it in my video that he was the best thing to happen to that band and to Ali, just taking that pressure. I say pressure, but just taking that off of him, dude, because his voice was getting so bad for a long time. I think people were just metal snobs about it, dog. Like, it's like you said, taking that jump for a monetary gain. I don't know if they did it or if it was just because of the fact that Ali couldn't do what he used to, and then they ended up just doing it so well.
I honestly feel like Bring Me the Horizon's more of an example of like maturing, whereas Parkway just felt to me like it was just like it felt to me like they fell into something with ire, and they got on much bigger stages with ire, and they saw what those fans were consuming with ire, and then they're like going to the studio and they're like, all right, well, we're gonna try to write things to cater to that audience. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but this is my view of it. And then after that, they came out of the studio with a record that no one really, like, their fan base wasn't feeling. I just typed in Parkway Drive on YouTube right now, and just looking at the views, you can see that like Dark Days has 18 million, and the main single off of Reverence, I think, has 11 million. So there's not a huge difference there, but I don't even think Dark Days was the first single to come out off of Wild Eyes. I think Atlas. I think Wild Eyes was. So I'm not even sure there.
I don't remember. But anyway.
And then Vice Grip's got 20 million, Bottom Feeder's got 13 million. Dark Days has 18 million.
Well,
Crushed has 17 million. Like, all of the songs, a lot of the songs off of Ire have way more than the views of the Reverence record. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you and me and Max talked in our previous episode, I think that for Bring Me the Horizon in general, it's not one thing. I mean, it's just they have some superhuman, musician experience and knowledge and talent even maybe, because somehow they know what sounds good. They know what goes with more popular sound, more mainstream sound, and somehow they have no even though all the metal elitists and all the diehard old albums fans are hating them, I think that they didn't have a single bad record. I mean, like, even Ammo. I hated Ammo for so long, and like for the last 3 months, I can't stop. Yeah, initially I didn't like it because it was so, weak, and it was so not metal. But for the last 3 months, if I have to be honest, I'm listening the shit out of Ammo, and I fucking love every single song.
Bring Me the Horizon to me is more so an example in my mind of a band that just stopped giving a fuck about labels or opinions. Like, not labels as in record labels, but labeling bands, labeling. Like, it's like, I don't think they intended on any of where they are specifically. I think that where they are and the success that they've been enjoying, and the point that they've gotten to as how influential they are as like a fucking like pillar of the industry now.
Yeah.
I think all that just came about because they just stopped caring completely, I don't even think there was a whole lot of care from that band at all in any point of their career. It seems like to me it's very like, we're going to do what we like, we're going to do it better than anybody else, and we're just going to go with whatever feels good. And like, that's why I think that the music has evolved in the way it did so well and elegantly, because they never forced anything. They didn't outgrow metal and then still try and make metal and come out with bad records. they outgrew metal, and whatever they grew into, they created, and people loved it. You know, and they still to this day are doing that. It's just like whatever they feel like, whatever the mood is in the band, and whatever things that they want to write about and want to express themselves through, they choose, and then they arrange music that makes sense based on that. Like Parasite Eve, we saw them go back to a heavier influence, but at the same time, it's like a much heavier, darker message of the song. You know, like we're talking about a global pandemic, you know, and like all the things that come out of that. So like it's appropriate to be heavier and something like that. And I don't think that they've ever really thought about how it's going to be received as much as can they live with it? You know, can they play it night after night and tour it and, you know, music video it and all the things that have to go along with it once it's created, you know? And I think like that's why they've had such success, because they just don't give a damn. They're just authentically themselves.
Yeah. And when you're so good, you can afford to make big side steps because, you know, you're just good at it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, that's the case. So what else have we had? What else have we had released this year that's been a big deal? I'm trying to think. Outside of Currents, there's been some stuff lately.
Taking it back would be Polaris and maybe the band Invent Anime, but that was a few months ago.
I think
Polaris was a good one though.
It's not in this year, but it's pretty close. I think Popular Monster was another huge thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Back in like December or November. I don't remember. When did it come out?
That would have been what, in January?
No, it was
no
before that. I think it was either end of November or beginning of December. 2019.
Word. Yeah, that song was crazy. I hadn't heard Falling in Reverse ever before that, and then I went back and listened to some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I guess you could say Bad Omens dropped that. They dropped the deluxe. They redid.
Yeah.
But the original record came out in 19, and I hadn't heard them ever before. But the mix, why they did their mix themselves, right? The first time around.
Who is this, sorry?
Bad Omens.
Bad Omens.
Bad Omens did their second record by themselves. They self-produced it the first time, yeah.
Right, and then they went back in and redid it. Like when they redid it, it's so much better, the mix. But the original release was in 2019, so I guess you only really have Polaris.
But it was so good.
Polaris. The new Asking record, I don't even know if y'all want to talk about it.
What?
How about,
I want to hear Wyatt's opinion. I want to hear
I'd be down for that.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's do that. I mean,
okay.
I want to hear what y'all have to think first, because I know exactly what I think about it.
Yeah, and like I don't know. This is like, okay. So for everybody listening, the reason why Dimitar wants to hear my opinion and why we're starting with me is because if you aren't aware, I'm like a super diehard Ask Alexandria fan. And like I have Ask Alexandria tattoos. I've covered them more than any other band on my channel. They're just like, growing up, that was like, I was just a super fan. I was like a 14-year-old girl with Justin Bieber when it came to Ask Alexandria. And like there's very few people that I've met and really been starstruck over, and like when I met those guys, it was like that. It was like, whoa, sheesh. But yeah, so looking at their newest record, yeah, I wasn't a fan. And I don't think
plain and simple.
Plain and simple, man. I don't think there was a whole lot of people that were. They were the type of, like, their record became a meme, you know? Like, if you go on YouTube, I'm on YouTube right now. If you go on YouTube and you go to the community page on Sumerian Records and you look at the posts, there's a lot of posts in their community pages of late about Asking Alexandria because they've been really trying to, like, hype up this record. And what's sad about it is, and this is like, I don't condone this whatsoever, but if you go here and you look through the comment sections on any of the posts to do with Asking, it's just nothing but hate. It's just so much hate. Like, so many people are pissed off about the change in the sound. And I don't know why. It's like, I guess it's because people grew up with certain expectations and really became diehard fans like I did. And now it's almost like a letdown when they've changed so drastically. But it's a weird one because Bring Me the Horizon changed and we didn't really have this kind of pushback. If anything, it just blew them up bigger. It's almost like Ask Alexandria. It's almost like they did it more like half-assed or something. I don't know
Yeah.
how to describe it. It's just like it doesn't.
It's a
whatever
pretty
they
accurate
switch
description.
What? Yeah, that's as savage as their comment section, which is unfortunate. But that's how it comes off to me, and like that's the only way I can say it. Like I'm not trying to hate on the band. I love the band. I love all the guys in the band. I think they're unbelievably phenomenal musicians. They are the reason that I listen to metal, and they're the reason that I really wanted to do what I'm doing today. So like I don't want to hate on them for no reason, but listening to this record, it just doesn't feel like a polished product like what I've come to expect from the band. And you can see that their numbers reflect that. So that's just, that's just what it comes down to. It's really tough to say and talk about, but I wanted more. I expected more from a band of that caliber for the years that they've been on the road, for the years that they've been doing what they're doing. It's almost like they're not sure who they are right now. It's almost like they're going through like a transition period and trying to figure out what's the real future for this band, which is cool because I think that we'll have growth from this, and I think that we'll see a different band, a different outcome with future records. Hopefully, if they take it to heart and try and learn from what's happened. Because,
if they decide
I don't know
to hear the audience.
I don't know specifics to do with their financials or the label's financials or how any of this works, but just from like the surface level analytics that I view as a creator here on YouTube and taking a look at how this record has been received, it doesn't look nearly as good as when their self-titled came out, as when The Black came out, as when, From Death to Destiny before that. All those records seem to be received much better. Now, I don't know if that's the case. There was pushback on those other records as well because we saw a hardcore, metalcore, very, very much so metalcore band switching into almost like dad rock at times, especially with From Death to Destiny. There was, Death to Destiny. There was a lot of talk of that with songs like Moving On. So
see, but I really enjoyed those songs that they did, dude. So Reckless and Relentless was fucking good. It reminded me a lot of Stand Up and Scream, and you saw kind of maturity there. But Moving On was dope, dude. There was a couple songs on there that I wasn't a massive fan of, but at that time I was kind of phasing myself out of metal and just in general.
Moving On
I was kind of like you,
like
yeah. So I was kind of like you, like when I first saw them, it was live. I had no idea these English dudes coming out. They look like they weigh 120 pounds. Skinny jeans, like as skinny as you can get. And Danny just comes out, and I think they came out to Ilarion, bro, and it was just like, fuck this. It was crazy, bro, because they blew everybody else out of the water that they opened up for. And so ever since then, I was, like attached to the band and hooked because it was like, dude, I had no idea who these guys were. But the new record, there's a couple songs on there that I do enjoy, and I try not to be a metal snob about it, but half of it is not good. It's just a lot of people think it's Danny like stroking his ego because the one before, right, was it self-titled with Alone in the Room, Into the Fire, right? So
and it's got
those
like too.
So the first 4 or 5 songs on that record I enjoyed. I don't know how y'all felt about that, but it was kind of like, this is who we are now. And from there, they took a step back, I think, with the new record, and it sucks. It sucks.
Totally. With the self-titled, I think they kind of started following the steps of what Bring Me the Horizon was doing in terms of of sound and of genre even. But for the new record, I'm very much with Wyatt's opinion that it does sound unpolished, it does sound half-assed, and I think that while, as again Wyatt said, Bring Me the Horizon are careless in a good way, like this is who we are, this is what we're doing, but we're giving it all, and we're really giving a lot of attention to detail. Asking Alexandria, at least to me, seems careless in the bad side of things. Like, we're
kinda like
big,
ignorant.
yeah,
almost.
we're big,
Yeah.
we're getting ignorant, we've got this growing ego, so we're changing, and we don't really
Like,
we
it doesn't
don't really
matter
give
what
a
we put
fuck
out.
how
Who cares?
you
They're gonna like
see it, yeah, but in a bad way, like,
Sure.
yeah.
I mean,
It's just
to touch up on
unfortunate.
that.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Matias.
Yeah,
Go
Matias.
Okay. I was going to say, to touch up on that, I've also been a fan, kind of similar to what Wyatt was saying. I've been a fan of theirs for a long time. They also got me into what that sound is. That how they had back in the day they had that in Stand Up and Scream. They had the electronic, electronic core or whatever you call it, and you could listen to that album today, top to bottom, and love the hell out of it.
We did the other day.
Yeah, we did the other day.
Literally
that
played
album
the whole record. We're sitting gaming and we're just listening to it. It's
and I'm still making videos of Stand Up and Scream.
It's unreal.
Yeah, and they're getting like views.
That changed. I think that changed everything there with that. And Tyler was saying, Reckless and Relentless, still very good. A little bit of maturity, but still stuck to who they were. After that, they lost me a little bit. They came out with that Stepped Up and Scratched album where they had remixes. I wasn't too into that. At the time, I wasn't listening to a lot of EDM and electronic stuff like that at the time.
I think it was because of Skrillex, because he was big back then.
I never got into it.
Yeah, and they just wanted to ride the hype wave, we're having a record with Skrillex.
And they had already like electronic in their album, so I thought, screw it, let's do remixes.
Yeah.
They lost me after that. That's when Danny left, right? And I didn't listen to From Death to Destiny or The Black. And I didn't realize that Danny had come back until maybe like last year, a year and a half ago or so, that they had put out the that self-titled, right? And I was on the fence about it. I had my opinion of them since they changed their vocalist has been similar to what my opinion of Bring Me the Horizon has been for the past half of a decade, if not more. It's like, you guys lost me. I was a fan of yours from the beginning, literally from the beginning when you became a band. And I'm not trying to be like this entitled, like elitist or anything like that. It's just like you lost me. Like I don't appreciate the sound anymore. Like that's great for you, cool. I'm happy for you, but you lost me. Like
Yeah.
So it's all good though. It's just it is what it is. They're successful.
It's your right.
Right. They're successful. I'm not gonna bash on them, and if I do it jokingly, right? Because if I wrote music, I know that some people are not gonna like it, some people are gonna hate it, some people are gonna love it. It's just the way it is. You can't make everybody happy, right?
Absolutely.
I listened to the self-titled eventually at some point, like a year ago, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed that album. Surprisingly, I didn't think I was going to. What I realized was that a big part of this band for me is Danny's vocals. He's just a phenomenal vocalist.
Yeah.
I love his voice. I know he's got that side project. He's got a thing on his own where he sings. He's got it's more like country, more along the lines of country.
He's got a hell of like a rock and roll voice. I just think he didn't use it well enough on the new stuff. And the self-titled, dude, the first 5 or 6 songs, I still listen to it every once in a while. So I'm with you there. I just think he didn't use it well enough because he's got that like raspy, kind of deep, just a rock and roll voice, and he just hasn't used it.
He's like the metalcore Sulierna.
Yeah.
It's like there's tons of people out there who take classes and lessons to get that voice. Well, he has it. Like he's had it from the start. He was born with it. It's like he was born talent right there. And there's like the first 5 songs. I mean, I actually like that entire album, but the first 5 are definitely good. I had Hopelessly Hopeful stuck in my head for a long time. That chorus. Where did it go? That's a really good one. Into the
Vultures
Fire
is good too. And then they did the rock version of it. Dude, my dad, we were like listening to Octane or something, and that song came on, and he was like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "You remember that band I used to listen to way back in the day?" He goes, "There's no way, dog." I said, "Yeah, it's way. That's them." So it's crazy.
They have that. They have the acoustic version of In the Room. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I think it's like I said, for me, it's Danny's vocals. I'm one of those people who I love to sing along to like anything I listen to, and I'll scream along to it too because I'm kind of like a vocalist as well. But that's what I would aspire to be if I could sing. I would love to have a voice or be able to to hit notes like that. It's natural. So that's what I appreciate the most. And I used to make fun of that, the whole like when bands did that and they made their sound kind of like, we used to call it like the sing along sing along songs or the sing along choruses. Kind of like, to give you an example, when We Came as Romans did it, they went from like their heavier sound to that, the songs that had a lot of like choruses where like people would sing along, and they had like actual choirs in the back. What is that? What song? They had like a song that's like Hope, I think it's called, or something like that. Or what else do they have where it's like that? We Came as Romans.
I've never
back
been
when
so familiar with We Came as Romans.
That maybe learning to survive. Are you talking to that type?
Yeah, that. And I used to, poke fun of it. Poke. I don't know, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed that because I don't know. Maybe it's because my taste is more redefined. I'm getting a little bit older. I don't know, and it's nice to have variety. Maybe I don't know what it is, but sometimes you give something a second or third try, and it just kind of clicks. It also has to do with the timing and whatnot, right? Sometimes you're just listening to music, and you're just in the mood for that specific either subgenre or music, and then later on you're like, oh, okay, I'll give this a try, and then you actually like it. That's my opinion on them. I actually haven't listened to this new album, so I can't say anything on that. I can't touch bases on that.
What is your guys' opinions? If you've listened some more, what's your opinion about August Burns Red, like in general, not just the recent recordings, but in general? Because I'm asking because my opinion is kind of controversial, and I just wanted to hear if I'm the only one who feels that way.
Well,
you want me to go first, Matias? Because you're he's the biggest August Burns Red guy.
Really?
They're one of my favorite bands.
Matias is. Me, bro, it was just always too, and I didn't even know if you would say they're prog, but it was always too technical for me, and the guitars were just too, I don't know, man. I was never the biggest August Burns Red fan ever. It was just kind of Matt Griner's in the band. Matt Griner's an animal, but the band itself, I'm not going to go out of the way to listen to. I was just, that's my opinion. I like great musicians, crazy good, right? But it's just not my style of music. I can't do it.
This is exactly what I'm thinking. I mean, I don't, I'm not savvy in guitar work or vocals or whatever, but I know a little about drums. And Matt Griner is like one of my top 5 idols, in drumming. Obviously. And I believe that all the other musicians in the band are crazy good, fantastic musicians. But for some reason, they just don't hit that emotional connection with me, I don't know if it's the structure of the songs or the riffs or they're too technical, too fast, or
it's too fast for me. You hit it like right there. Those two things, technicality and just like the speed and tempo of their songs. It's
they're
not
very
good for me.
impressive in terms of composition, and odd times and whatever. But they're entertaining for me to watch, like a live show or watch Matt play. But I would never put August Burns Red in my headphones and go for a jog or
I'm the exact same as you.
I'm getting nervous listening to them for some reason.
How about you, Wyatt?
Yeah, what?
August Burns Red, dude, I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me think. I don't know. I've taken lessons with Matt Griner. I think that the band itself is like,
we're talking like the music, not like the separate musicians. Do you like them? Like,
yeah.
Do
I know.
jam their music?
I was about to talk about that. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, I jam them. Yeah. They're just like, they're very digestible for musicians. Like it's not. I don't know. Lindsay has a tough time getting into them. Like every time we go to see them live, she's like, it just sounds like the same song over and over. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like you have to have a background in some instrument to really be able to consume them well, especially drummers. Like I feel like I don't know a single drummer who doesn't love them,
Yeah.
But there's so much going on with the drums. But if you're not, but if you're not a musician, it can be very hard to consume. I mean, this whole genre can be, so. Yeah. Oh man,
Matias?
they have a new record coming out, or is it already out? I don't even know.
I think it's already out.
Sorry,
Came out
was
April
it good?
3rd.
Did you guys enjoy it?
To be honest, I didn't listen to it.
I feel like
haven't
nobody in
listened
here
to it
listened
top
to it
bottom.
except for me.
I've heard
jammed it a
I've heard
couple
Defender.
times.
Yeah.
Matias, tell us a good word.
Well, August Was Red is one of those other bands, like I mentioned with Asking Alexandria. I've been listening to them since pretty much they came out back in 2000, I don't know, 3, 4. Though I didn't get into them until I think at the end, towards like the end of the release of Thrill Seeker, and that came out in 2005. So maybe like 05, 06. And I've been a huge fan of theirs ever since. I never strayed from them, you know. They have been, just like any other band, they have a release where they tell their fan base, hey, we're experimenting with this and that, so heads up, you know, like, hey, this one might not sound similar as the other one, right? So they had a couple of releases, most like especially with Leveler. I think Leveler was the first one they experimented with, because they had Thrill Seeker was pretty much what put them on the map with their older vocalist. Actually, they had another vocalist also named Jake, because their vocalist now is Jake. And then they came out with Messengers. Again, put them on the map even more, got them more attention. Constellations in 09, and Messenger was in 07. Those two albums are, in my opinion, their best work to this day. And yeah, then they had Leveler, and like I was saying, Leveler was the first one they experimented with. They had an interesting sound to it. They had some songs where in the middle of the song you would hear, I don't know, some like different beats. Like there was like salsa in one. I can't remember which one it is, which song it is exactly, but there's that one, and Rescue and Restore. Again, they started to kind of mold their sound and become what they are now. Even though this year for Guardians, they sort of like try to go back to their original sound, to their heavier sound, which I think, in my opinion, they accomplished, and they did. What they were going for is they wanted to experiment. They wanted to keep their sound, but also go back to being a little bit heavier. And I think they executed that perfectly with this one, with Guardians. I've listened to it so much when it came out. I just let it play. I would let it play. I would put it on repeat and just go top to bottom again and again and again, back to back to back, whether I was working or here sitting at the setups doing something, you know. But yeah, again, it's just one of those bands. I know every single of the member. I know, you know, all the members. I've seen them a few times live. I've met them because I've bought VIP tickets. They're all like such sweet, like loving, down to earth dudes. They're also very Christian, which at the time, back in the day, that spoke to me as well, because I myself being also a Christian, I could resonate with the message, you know, back in the day, even with Messengers, and as far back as like 2007, and to this day, yeah, I've been a huge fan of theirs. To me, like I said, there's a lot of people who, you know, like you guys, or like Tyler was saying, they're kind of hit and miss, you know, because they're very melodic, or they have that sound it's kind of like everywhere. There's a lot going on, so some people get lost in it, right? But they're great musicians. They're such cool dudes. Yeah, I love them to death, man. I probably will always love them. And if, you know, my opinion to this album is, it was great. I would put it like, actually, my best friend and I, just the other day, maybe like 3-4 days ago, we were sitting in here, and actually in Discord, we were talking about new releases, kind of like this, and we touched up on August Was Red, and he goes, you know what, you want to do this? Let's play a game. Let's rearrange, let's organize our albums and see where we're at. Let's see how we match up, right? We made a list. We excluded they have Christmas albums. I think they have 2. They have one full album and one sort of like an EP, right? We excluded those, but all their main releases, what we did is we took them and we ranked them. So from top to bottom, top being like our least favorite, bottom being our favorite. And we tend to have like similar opinions, but they'll be like slightly off by one. So we did that. And as a matter of fact, both him and I put Guardians up there in our top 3. And him and I have always had Messengers and Constellations. Well, I have Messengers as my favorite, Constellations as my second, and he's the other way around.
Who else has wants to bring up some record or anything related to that?
Go for it, Matias.
Go ahead, what? Oh, me?
No,
I was gonna bring up Make Them Suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Have you heard it,
That's
Dimitar?
a good band.
I heard 2 songs so far of the new record. It's the Bones, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
Bones,
Bones is
and
one.
3. So it's Bones, it's Soul
Drown With
Decay,
Me.
and
Erase Me.
Erase Me, maybe.
Okay, it's for
Erase
Erase Me. And I'm just trying to remember. There was one like 6 months ago. Let me look it up.
That was probably Erase Me. The one where
No, it's not Erase Me. Let me just check.
no.
Come on. Adam Bjork did a drum cover of it, and it was. I really like it. It has a great break. Oh, Whole Heart.
Oh, that's an old
Hollow.
song. That's not from the new one.
Oh,
It's
that's an
not?
older one. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
that's
Oh,
an
it's
older one.
2019.
record.
Okay, yeah. So from the new record, I heard Bones, Soul Decay, and Erase Me. And to be honest, of those 3 songs, I only didn't like Bones. Like, it felt kind of strange, ending in a strange way, and there was no like a notable breakdown inside. But Soul Decay and Erase Me, yeah, pretty much. It didn't blow my mind, with anything new, but I'm satisfied because this is the kind of sound I was expecting from them, and I wasn't let down. So it's nothing wow, but it's cool for me.
Wyatt, I know
Go
you
ahead, Tyler.
reacted to Bones. What was your... I saw the video, and you seemed to enjoy it, but I don't know how you felt about it, just overall.
Yeah, Bones was sick. I didn't feel great about the swing and the verses. That was the only thing. But then on this contrary to that, like Lindsay loved that. So it was also the thing I liked the most about it, I think, was the drum mix. It was this was a Drew Folk track, right? I believe so.
Oh, they're with Rise.
Just in general are
think
fucking
so.
good.
They're on Rise.
So
Is
good.
that-
Oh wait. Edited by Colin, Jeff, and Ten of Swords. Produced by Jackson Bentley. Okay, never mind. It's not. I just thought it was because the drums sound so much like something Drew Folk would put out. The drums really, really sounded to me like the drums off of Disguise. Like they just like the mix sounds so similar. I like
Motionless?
the choruses the most for sure. Yeah, Motionless. The whole
It's
Motionless
funny.
record sound like these drums.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the chorus. I just wish that she sang more on the record.
Yeah, and that's what I
truly do.
said.
Like,
That's what I said in
the
my
chorus
reaction
is-
too.
the choruses would just hit so much harder with her. Like Erase Me it was a single that I heard a long time ago, but it's still one of the top from the record just because of the way she sings in the chorus. Like, it's so good, man. And he's good too, don't get me wrong, the vocalist, but it just hits a little bit harder when they're both in there, me personally. But the record itself is sick for sure. It's good.
Is that a new vocalist for them?
No, they've had her for since.
No. I mean
they were
the
a
guy.
thing.
The guy.
I don't think so. No, I think it's just back in the day they used to be a lot heavier, so he used
Yeah.
to have lower lower.
Yeah, because I know him
screams.
since 2012 and Never Bloom, and actually I really
Bloom,
dig that record because it was straight up deathcore, but it was kind
Oh
of
yeah.
a mix between black metal and deathcore and the pianos and the female it was just a really nice mix, but ever since Old Souls, which is also dope by the way, but I feel that there is this big change in both the music and the male vocals. In a sense, the male vocal got more metalcore-ish and less deathcore-ish, if it makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
It
just
did.
wondering
That's
if they
definitely what they were
changed the
going for.
vocalist or they just evolved into what they are now.
I think he changed his screams, because I'm looking here. If that's Sean, his name is Sean Hermanis. It says lead vocals 2008 to present, and then clean vocals 2020, doing cleans on this record. So it looks like he's been there since the beginning. It's the same guy. He's evolved. He changed his screams. He adapted with the music. Yeah, exactly. Because you would think, it's like you were saying, you would think that was a different guy, because back then when they were heavier, he sounded very different. His lows were insane.
Yeah,
and just
he's good both now and before, which is, what's making me think that they got a new guy, because it's such a huge change and he sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad they went where they did, because I was never into the deathcore black metal type stuff, dude. I can't do it.
Yeah, they were that kind of band that would
really good, man.
Just a lot of blast beats, and they had it's that deathcore death metal sound where it's like the keyboards in the back and just a lot of heaviness, just constant heaviness, and that's fun. That's great and all, but it's nice to have melodies. The singing is beautiful. I mean, I think the contrast between with their heaviness, and then out of nowhere, you don't see it coming, the girl starts singing, and her voice is beautiful. I think that the combination of those two things is perfect, and I think they executed that perfectly in this album. Very well done. But to touch up on what Tyler was saying earlier, I do wish, and I told him this myself as well, I wish the girl sang a lot more in the album. And some people have told me, well, maybe it wouldn't make it as special and whatnot. It makes it more special when she only sings in the 2 and the 3. But who cares? Like, it sounds so much better when she comes in out of nowhere and she starts singing.
Because there's this huge contrast,
Well, it's that, and it's unique, right? I mean, how many other metalcore bands have female vocalists? And we'll probably touch on the new Spirit Box shit.
Ginger.
We're gonna get there, but besides that, could you tell me of anybody else?
Well, not really. No.
Yeah,
right.
so I think that they should make that more prevalent. Have that contrast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool, but the contrast is being shadowed by the guy, and it's dope. But you have her, bro, and she's damn good.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to try it out, and this one they said, okay, let's try it out. Let's see how it goes. And now that they know that it's it was well received, maybe they'll do it more.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. I think that if they would have done Erase Me more as a, like a pre-album single, I think they would have seen, like, dude, we need to get her more in these songs instead of it being a single for a record that may have already been done. But I mean, it came out in March, right? So, like, if it would have came out, let's say, like, October of last year, and they had just gone into the studio.
Came out.
Yeah, so, like, if they would have done that, and then, damn, this song is going crazy, and the people like her singing, I think they would have made it more prevalent in their record.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that Hollowed Heart song. I don't know if that was just a single that was...
Yeah, I was expecting to see it in the record, by the way. And I don't think it's there.
Nope, it's his album Hollowed Heart. It's just its own thing that they never did anything with, I think. And
That's
I don't know, like I've known about them for years now, but I'll listen to them maybe here and there because I wasn't a huge fan of theirs before. I actually listened to Worlds Apart quite a bit. That one's pretty good. There's a little bit more melody in that one. You could kind of see them, changing their sound.
Yeah.
Old Souls. I haven't even listened to. Never Bloom. I listened to.
It's
that
nice.
One's really
it's
heavy.
nice, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You would like it.
It's good. Okay. Yeah, this one. It's. I would put this album, How to Survive a Funeral, up there, right next to Currents, for me. It's right up there.
Well, on the note of, sorry if I cut you off. On the note of bands evolving and changing, we were talking like half an hour ago. I just want to say that for me right now, and it's not just for the metalcore, but let's say the core in general, there are two main paths that are being taken by the bands, which are not like brand new. And one of them is either getting into mainstream stuff and incorporating pop feel to it, or electronics, whatever. And the other main path is just getting heavier with all the genty riffs, 8, 9 string guitars, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I would say that if the band would go the lower and the heavier part, just do it right, because I feel that in 2020 there is no more room and no more demand by us, by the listeners, for bands who sound like Parkway Drive in 2010, Asking Alexandria in 2009. It's like Wyatt said, it's so oversaturated by now that it's just, you need something new. And like I can give some examples. Like for example, Currents is going the lower path clearly, and they're doing it good. Wage War, which started off pretty heavy with the last record, which was what was it called? Pressure. They're getting the lighter path, sounding more balanced and more more pop, which is nice. I'm curious, where will Architects go, by the way, because I know Tyler loves them and we all love them. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think that because listening to like the last two records, the Holy Hell and Please Don't Kill Me, I forgot the name of the previous one.
All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us.
Yeah, all Our Gods Have Abandoned Us. They're both insane, and I love them, but I think that they might be reaching a point where if they create another record like that, they will be kind of redoing old stuff. So I guess that they're gonna evolve in some way, and I'm really curious, and I hope they don't fuck it up, because they're one of the staple bands nowadays for this genre. So
for them,
yeah.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. I think just for them, it was Tom. That's all it is. He was the mastermind behind it, and he's gone. Rest in peace. So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen, because I'm curious, like you said, what route they're gonna take. But it's just, as much as a lot of people don't want to like admit it, that's just what it was. It was Tom. He wrote everything. He was the mastermind behind that band. It
was like the guitarist for After the Burial, but I forgot his name. Who passed?
Oh yeah,
passed away as well.
Him too. Mm-hmm.
So like with the Architects, it's like you said, his brother Dan is writing now, and the amount of pressure that he probably felt, it's a hell of a stage to come out and put your own music out. And me and Wyatt were talking about it. It's like the perfect time for them to be in the studio right now, but who knows? Like, those guys are going through some stuff, especially Sam, but you got to think that they're the staple metalcore band, bro, and Dan's coming out and he's like, man, I have to follow up on what my brother did, and my brother was a fucking genius. Yeah. Like, you have so many fans, and this is the first time that you're writing an entire record. Like, you got to realize that it's not that easy, but I don't think that
and he must have been feeling...
I don't think that they're going to stray away from what it is. Like, it's just... Yeah, I wrote a song, but then Sam and the other guitarists are going to help me make it sound more architectsy, right? Is the word that they use. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they'll stray too far, man. It's just, it's so hard to follow up those two records.
And man, Sam, I mean, I don't like to put labels like this guy is the best.
He's the best.
This, the He's best the best. That. But Sam fucking Carter, for me, is the fucking best metalcore singer. Period.
It's not even close.
That guy is not insane live. I have seen videos, and I feel like, I don't know, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but he's better live.
It's the man is an animal. Consistency, bro. He doesn't stray.
I had never had the pleasure of seeing him live because I live at the other fucking end of the world.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, the sing screams and everything, man. He's just the perfect guy for the job.
The passion, and the emotion that he has, the emotion. Too, especially now. Like you'll see him like break down when he sings, and that's him actually breaking down. Mm-hmm. It's the song. What were you gonna say, Tyler?
It's not an act.
No, I was just gonna say if it wasn't for Wyatt's channel, I probably would have never found Architects, bro. Because I was like on the biggest Dance Gavin Dance binge for a while, and so Wyatt put out a drum cover for that, and then I think the next one after that was his Holy Hell cover, and I was like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah,
because like at that time, dude, when I was in college, like I didn't listen to metal music at all. If I did, it was all the stuff from back in the day that I listened to, right? And then when Wyatt dropped Holy Hell, I was like, dude, who are these guys? And then we went back and went back and went back, and like the more you go back, obviously I had no idea who Tom Searle was or Shirley. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I had no idea. And so when Holy Hell dropped, it was really good, and then the further you go back, the better they are, and now obviously you know why.
It's Lost Forever, Lost Together. That's what got me into it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's kind of strange how I got into the Architects. Literally, like, maybe even 8 months ago, I didn't know Architects. I mean, I've heard their name, but I never had listened to one of their songs, and I learned about them when Wage War dropped Low. So, you know, for a short period of time, there was this scandal, I don't know if that's the proper word, that they stole the riff from Doomsday.
Match Made in Heaven.
It was from Doomsday. You know.
That's a Match Made in Heaven, no?
No, that's Doomsday. Oh. And I was
They're
like,
kind of both similar though. They are very similar.
Yeah. And I was like, who is this band? And
it's a Match Made in Heaven.
Yeah,
if you go listen to it,
no, it's Doomsday.
Doomsday. No, well, it's both. It's what I was saying. Like it's a Match Made in Heaven is.
I see. No, you know what I'm thinking? So, I'm thinking a Match Made in Heaven with that cover. What would you cover that song from Whitechapel, Wyatt? What was it?
The Saw is the Law.
The Saw is the Law. There's that part. It sounded exactly like that riff.
Who's listening to it? I can hear it.
Someone just. It's Wyatt.
Yeah.
So that's Doomsday.
That's Doomsday, and it sounds like
someone's giving us an echo, by the way.
Yeah, we're getting an echo.
What?
They're both similar.
Yeah, it's Wyatt.
Fuck, doesn't that just get you hyped up?
Oh yeah. You can't pause it there.
I'm ready to go, bro. I'm ready to go. I know,
That's
right?
so fucking cool.
That's it. I'm covering it next.
By the way, it's evening here, but it's still day with you guys. I'm uploading here after, so.
Oh, nice. That's a dope song.
And it was I was so angry, bro, because I filmed it with like 2 cameras and 1 phone. What?
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I filmed it with like 2 cameras and 1 phone, so that makes 3 angles. And first, it seemed that the phone for some reason didn't record at all, and one of the camera in the middle of the video just displayed no storage or corrupt SD card or something. So I got just 1 angle for it, and I was, anyway, whatever. So yeah, I mean, this is how I learned about Architects, and I've been, they're close to my heart ever since, and they're awesome.
Oh yeah, man.
Dude, Architects for me is like up there, like as I described earlier with Asking. Architects is up there with Asking, and like I am worried about what they're gonna do next. Like because it's true what you guys were saying. Like the band really was Tom, and like I thought that their best work honestly was I thought that their best work was All Our Gods. But then as far as my personal preference, I liked Lost Together, Lost Forever the best. And I don't think we'll ever get that sound again. I'm really curious to see what their stuff going forward is going to sound like. Because, like, yeah, I don't know. It's changing songwriters like how they just did is a big deal. And there's a lot of pressure on. I mean, I'm just saying what you guys said, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I wasn't as stoked with Holy Hell. I wasn't nearly as stoked with it as I was the 2 records before that. I liked it. I covered a bunch of songs off it. It was good. Like, some of the songs were pretty sick. I like Dying to Heal. That was my favorite track. But honestly, like, comparing it to the last 2 records, it was like, it definitely didn't come in like as good as Abandon All Our Gods. Sorry. So
I think that I enjoyed it as much as I did because I didn't have the other 2 to compare it to. So like Holy Hell was the first, and like I said, when you go back further, it just because I didn't have an expectation. I didn't even know who the guys were, dude. So
yeah.
Okay, so I think it's time for the inevitable, and that's Spirit Box and their latest records. Me and Tyler and Wyatt did some reactions to them, and actually I can't say much because I literally know like 5 songs of Spirit Box. Blessed Be.
I'm the same.
What else?
If you ask me,
Holy Roller, 9. What was Rule of Nines?
Rule of Nines, yeah.
And I can say, like if I'm disappointed or if I'm hyped, I like what I heard from them. I like the vocals. I think that not only that they're female vocals, but the type of vocals and the way she's singing is just amazing. And her screams are nice because I'm really, please don't kill me, but I'm really a little, with a little prejudice when it's about female screaming. But with Ginger and Spirit Box, I'm actually pretty impressed, and I enjoy the screaming, growling, whatever it's called. And yeah, I think it's a very nice combination of heavy music and female vocals, and they're done right, both the instrumentals and the vocal parts, and the mixes are dope.
The mix, oh my god, the mix is so much better now than it was back 3 years ago when they came out with the self-titled. Their mix was good back then, but it's amazing now. It's great. I'll let you guys touch up on it because I've been listening to them for a few years now.
I literally clicked on a random video on YouTube, and then, and I reacted to it, and it was one of my favorite reactions that I've done so far, dude. And I messaged Matias and I was like, "Bro, have you heard Spirit Box?" And he was like, he said something along the lines of, he was like, "How dare you shame me like that?" He said, "Of course." Like, dude, I had no clue who they were, and like the female Courtney hit, and I was like, "Dude, what the fuck?" Because I was on the Make Them Suffer record, and I was like, another female vocalist. Like, it was meant to be that day, dude. And then, they dropped Holy Roller, and then all the fans in the comments in my latest video are saying, hey, they got time booked in August. We'll see what happens with the coronavirus, and maybe it'll get pushed back. It'll probably get pushed back, but like to find them and then them be working on new music is sick, dude. So I'm excited for that.
All right. What?
Yeah, Matias, you first showed me this band on Groovy, and I thought they were really cool from what you showed me, but this latest stuff really took it to a whole other level. They kind of remind me of like the evolution that they're kind of cool too, because like they have a whole backstory with like another band, right? Like they evolved out of what's it called? The Something in the Bear.
I Wrestle the Bear ones.
Yeah.
Did you guys? It was awful.
Did you guys?
Like back in the day, I hated it. Yeah.
And that was awful.
I know who they were.
God
like,
damn it.
No. I mean, like, wasn't it like super deathcore and just blast beats and
scream mode? No.
And that's like how it was, right? Stuff. Like, I hated it. And like, you come out and you blow my mind like this, so I do apologize for that. But I wasn't a fan of it back in the day. It just shows progression. It's dope.
Okay, so I just got some honorable mentions, which are of bands that I really liked. Because, by the way, in Spotify there is this playlist. Maybe most of you guys know it. It's called New Core, and I don't know who's the creator, but it's got like 420,000 likes and followers. So it's pretty. I think it's the biggest one in terms of core music. And it gets updated every like 4 or 5 days, so it's pretty up to date. And there, I'm finding a lot of gems, you know. And out of that playlist, I just wanted to say some honorable mentions that I really liked, and most of them are from bands that I've never heard before. But anyway, one of them is. By the way, Wyatt, this is where I heard Symptoms by Wake Up Hate.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on.
Yeah. So, the first one is the song called STFU by the band And Is Okay. I hope
They're German.
Yeah. They're German?
They're German, I believe, yes.
Nice. The other one is Black Hole by the band Afterglow. Another big one for me because I really liked it is the song Sink by Kingdom of Giants.
That's a good one. You said New Core? That's the playlist?
Yeah. Just two words. New
by the
core.
way, I'm looking at it now. By the way, just as a sidebar here, the cover for that playlist, that's In Heart's Wake.
Yeah, they're
That's
changing
the band
it
In Heart's
every
Wake.
They're changing it every now and then.
At the moment where I'm looking at it now. Yeah. When I'm looking at it now, it's In Heart's Wake.
I have a reaction to Sync recorded. I probably need to get that up. That song was good, man.
So the last two are Rise Up by the band Solons.
Oh, they're pretty good.
Yeah. And let me just check it. Oh, okay, one more. Come Down by Secrets. It's pretty dope. It's pretty heavy. And Ricochet, I hope it's pronounced like this, by Catch Your Breath. These are the songs that I really loved the last month, besides the big releases. So shout out to those bands. It's awesome. So if you want to have some mentions, now's the time.
The new Crystal Lake track too, Watch Me Burn, was really good. I see that on the new core playlist. That was a good one.
Watch Me Burn is really good by Crystal Lake. The In Heart's Wake songs are decent. Not a lot of people are into those guys. They changed their sound a little bit. They have a little bit of electric, like core going in there, but I would definitely mention them. And it seems like Counterparts came out with these 2 new songs, even though they came out with an album not too long ago. Yeah, like a B-side to their album from last year. And those songs were actually really good. Pure Form of Pain is really good.
All right, so that was episode 3 of Under the Shell with me, DimitarK, Wyatt Stav, and our bros Matias and Tyler. And stay tuned to hear the 4 of us in the next big release that's gonna happen.
This has just become a thing, dude. The Under the Shell Roundtable.
Yeah, this is the Under the Shell Roundtable.
Dogs.
Yo,
huge shout out and thank you to Matias and Tyler for taking the time to do this today. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it.